Pregnant out of wedlock, they saw opportunity where others saw catastrophe. Lured by the sinister promise of wealth, they ventured to distant communities, returning with pockets lined, but without the innocent cries of their newborns. The babies, mere commodities in an underground market, thriving on despair and poverty. They have sold the baby as usual. They take turns and support each other, their mother Imam or anyone dare not question them. In a bustling community where diverse cultures converge, the Bassi's family resided in a modest, sun-worn house on the outskirts of town. Nkoyo and Atim, the elder siblings, shared more than just sisterly affection. They shared a legacy of despair and instability. They were the two sisters who were like twins and could not do anything differently. Born to a flustered teen mother, their early years were a mosaic of different father figures, each leaving an indelible mark on their burgeoning identities. Their mother Imam has married to 3 different men and born 4 of them. The man she is now married to is not the father of any of her children. Their mother, Imam, a woman of strength and many sorrows, managed to sustain her family despite the rotating door of companionships in her life. After enduring 3 tumultuous relationships, she finally settled with Okon, a quiet tailor with kind eyes, but a distant heart. The younger sisters, Ada and Mercy, born from different fathers, looked up to their elder siblings but followed their own secluded path. The community often whispered about the elder sisters' wild spirits. Their lifestyle of waywardness wasn't a story anymore. Nkoyo, the oldest, with fierce eyes and an unruly passion for freedom, matched only by Atim, whose laughter could light up the darkest corners of despair, made a pact long ago. They lived life by their own rules, often brushing off the sagely advice from concerned neighbors and the silent, disapproving glances of their stepfather. As the years slipped by, the cycle of hardship tightened around the family. Nkoyo and Atim, now young women, mirrored their mother's early mistakes. Pregnant out of wedlock, they saw opportunity where others saw catastrophe. Lured by the sinister promise of wealth, they ventured to distant communities, returning with pockets lined, but without the innocent cries of their newborns. The babies, mere commodities in an underground market, thriving on despair and poverty. They have sold the baby as usual. They take turns and support each other, their mother Imam or anyone dare not question them. The younger sisters, Ada and Mercy, watched in silent horror and confusion as family gatherings grew tenser. Okon's workshop became his refuge, a place to drown the chaos at home with the steady hum of his sewing machine. Imam's eyes, once pools of resilience, now flickered with a haunting helplessness. Years rolled into decades. Nkoyo and Atim, once vibrant beacons of defiance, began to crumble under the weight of their choices. The wild escapades slowed, replaced by a haunting loneliness and a desperate yearning to hear the laughter of a child or their children. Of course, they were still not married. Like, who would marry them after hearing and seeing all they do? On several occasions, suitors have come, but when they discovered that they were never more than their beauty, they moved to the next neighborhood. After some years, doctors' visits became frequent as both sisters faced the grim reality. They could no longer conceive. The news struck like a relentless wave, eroding the last pillars of their defiance. The community's disapproval turned to pitiful whispers, the same community they once mocked with youthful arrogance. Ada and Mercy, now with families of their own, kept a cautious distance. Their children's questions about Aunt Nkoyo and Aunt Atim met with sad smiles and hushed tones. Amidst their turmoil, Nkoyo and Atim found solace in the very advice they once scorned. The same elderly neighbors, who they dismissed in their youth, now held them through tears of regret. Life had come full circle, with lessons learned in the harshest ways imaginable. They started volunteering at a local orphanage, a place teeming with the innocent laughter they once traded for silver. Each giggle was a bittersweet reminder of what could have been, each child's hug a heavy nudge towards redemption. Sometimes they cry in secret, wishing to change the hands of time. As twilight touched their graying hair, Nkoyo and Atim found a semblance of peace, teaching young women about the perils of fleeting temptations and the enduring warmth of making righteous choices. They embodied the moral that the repercussions of our choices are like shadows, following closely, inevitably. Their tale, though filled with darkness, offered a flicker of hope, an ember that could ignite righteous paths for others. This tale serves as a poignant reminder that while every choice carries weight, some consequences are etched deeper into the fabric of our lives. It teaches us about redemption, the power of forsaken wisdom, and the possibility of finding light even after wandering in the darkness. The journey of Nkoyo and Atim underscores the age-old adage, listen, learn, and love wisely, for each decision shapes not just your life, but the lives of generations to come. As the years went by, Nkoyo and Atim's story became a cautionary tale, told in hushed whispers among the community. Their once vibrant lives had been reduced to a mere echo of what could have been. The sisters' choices had not only affected their own lives, but also the lives of their family members. Imam, their mother, had grown old and frail, her eyes clouded with a deep sadness. She had seen her daughters make the same mistakes she had made, and it had broken her heart. Okon, their stepfather, had long since passed away, but his legacy lived on in the stitches he had sewn into the fabric of their lives. Ada and Mercy, the younger sisters, had built their own families, but they couldn't help but look back at their childhood with a mix of sadness and gratitude. They had learned from their sisters' mistakes and had made better choices, but the scars of their childhood still lingered. Nkoyo and Atim's volunteering at the local orphanage had become a source of solace for them. They had found a new purpose in life, teaching young women about the dangers of temptation and the importance of making righteous choices. They had become the very embodiment of the wisdom they had once scorned. One day, as they were playing with the children at the orphanage, a young girl approached them. She had big, curious eyes and a mop of curly hair. She looked up at Nkoyo and Atim with a smile and asked, "Aunties, why do you always look so sad?" Nkoyo and Atim exchanged a glance, and for a moment, they were transported back to their youth. They remembered the laughter, the freedom, and the choices they had made. They looked at each other, and without saying a word, they knew what they had to do. They took the young girl's hands and began to tell her their story. They told her about the choices they had made, the consequences they had faced, and the lessons they had learned. They told her about the importance of listening, learning, and loving wisely. As they finished their story, the young girl looked up at them with tears in her eyes. "Aunties," she said, "I promise to make better choices than you did. I promise to listen, learn, and love wisely." Nkoyo and Atim smiled, their eyes welling up with tears. They knew that their story would live on, a cautionary tale that would guide generations to come. They knew that their choices had not been in vain, for they had learned from them, and they had passed on that wisdom to others. And so, the sisters continued their work at the orphanage, teaching young women about the dangers of temptation and the importance of making righteous choices. They continued to tell their story, a story of regret, redemption, and the power of wisdom. And as they did, they knew that their legacy would live on, a reminder to always listen, learn, and love wisely. Please answer these questions. If you were them, what would you do differently? What do you think happened to the babies they sold? Comment what you have learned from this story and what advice you would love to share. Have you subscribed, liked, shared, and commented on this video? Have you joined this channel to have access to exclusive perks only for our members?